We're going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is the flag salute. Please rise for the flag salute. Sorry. Good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Route of egress: in the event of emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to the exit doors. All doors will be open from the inside. Open Public Meetings Act announcement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend any meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this provision of the Act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Record Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 9th, 2026. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and filed with the clerk of the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna? Here. Ms. Quadrado? She's gonna be online, right? Okay, I didn't see her. Mrs. Fisher? Here. Ms. Garcia? Here. Mr. Guzman, is he online? Okay. Ms. Johnson? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here.
And Mr. Coletta?
Present. We need a motion for the board member.
Yeah, we gotta just.
Okay.
Administrator.
All right, so next order of business is number 2.1, oath of office for new board members for Mrs. Gatlin.
Can I take your picture, Mr. Allen, while you do this?
Sure.
Thanks.
So you can stand right here. Yep. I'll use the camera, I'm gonna give you this, and then there's a point. And you have to do that. So
You don't want to see in this picture.
just like this. Yes, okay, I wasn't seeing it, but okay, all right, so I'll say this, okay? Take your time, all right? You guys ready? Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Tanisha Gatlin,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state,
in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name,
Tanisha Gatlin. I, Tanisha Gatlin.
yes, do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear and affirm
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law of this office
prescribed by law of this office
of member of Board of Education.
of member of Board of Education.
Okay, I'm not disqualified
I'm not disqualified
as a voter pursuant to
as a voter pursuant to
RS 19
RS 19
4-1.
4-1.
I am not disqualified due to conviction
I am not disqualified due to conviction
of a crime or offense
of a crime or offense
listed in
listed in
NJSA
NJSA
18A
18A
12-1,
12-1,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can have a seat right over here.
Congratulations.
Nice to meet you too.
Just giving her a second to get logged in so that she has the agenda in front of her. Need a motion to skip it, or can we just say we're skipping it? She's not here yet. Table to it. Okay.
Because you made one up?
Yes.
Okay, I did.
Yep, it's on there. Good. Squared away. Thank you.
I did much, Bill probably did all.
Maybe it'd be easier for you just to follow along with
We have her on.
the printed, okay?
Yes.
Until you can get
Yes.
yourself.
But I'm
organized.
signed in on here as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
and this way you can get going and then you can just follow along.
Okay.
We can work around that. We're gonna hold Kelly until she gets here.
So we think Kelly's gonna be between 7:30 and 8, so we're gonna probably likely table that until the end of the meeting. Is that correct, Mike?
That's the plan. Good to go.
Yeah, I gave her the hard copy.
Yep,
so
I'm
she's-
fine.
Thank you.
she's
I'm fine.
Actually, we should just get her tomorrow.
Next, we have committee and representative assignments. Do we have a motion for item number 3.1 for board committee and representation assignments?
Motion.
Motion, Mrs. Johnson, second, Mrs. Serna. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes,
Ms. Garcia,
yes.
Ms. Gatlin.
Here.
So we're voting on the assignments. On the- on the-
Number 3.
Right here, these are the assignments for the curriculum policy statement. Committees,
Yes.
okay.
Is it okay if I abstain from,
Yeah.
since it's my first meeting?
100%.
Yep.
Okay. Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Coletta.
Yes. Number 4, moving on to committee reports. Again, the committees were just established right now, so there should be no committee reports other than the president's report, the business administrator report, and the chief school administrator report. From my report, I was fortunate enough this week to make 2 stops at the school. One was for a brief meeting with Mr. Waka. We had a very good conversation. Sorry. I wanted to make sure that we were able to start the new year off fresh and have a good shared conversation about our mutual expectations for the upcoming year and make sure that we were on the same page. We talked about the importance of open communication, such as letting the board know if the CSA wasn't going to be in school, things like that, as well as good communication both directions. I also made it clear that we understand that as a board, the job of running the day-to-day operations of the school falls on Mr. Waka as the chief school administrator. And Mr. Waka, as chief school administrator, is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the school district, and the board's role is in oversight capacity, such as in fiscal and budgetary oversight. All right, so we had a very good conversation. I think we left, I can only speak for myself. I think a very good fresh start. I think everybody's on the same page for the new year. Secondly, I came back this Friday. I was able to take up the Haledon Education Association's offer to tour the school and speak with their board their union president. We saw several different classrooms. I got a chance to see the new wing of the school that for the first time since I've been in the building, and I was very happy with all the work that was put in. I was also happy to see that some of the younger students that we were able to observe were doing back to like the center style of learning, which was used prior when my daughter was here prior to COVID. It was nice to see. We did disrupt a couple classes, so I apologize to those teachers. Again, at the end of that, we did have very positive discussion, myself and the HEA president. Again, it was only just to make sure that we understood that, you know, we clear the air, make sure that they get that, the goal on my end and for the board is to work together to the benefit of all the stakeholders and make responsible decisions. Again, and it was pointed out that I do constantly and always say I appreciate the HEA. Happy that you guys come here, and you know, I'm happy that you voice your concerns. You're more than welcome. It's like I said previously, as a member, we want you to come. Not only when it's bad, if there's issues, please come and bring them up. The week prior, I met with the board administrator, Ms. Augustin, to complete all of the required signatures for the board turnover. That was all done. We spoke with the board attorney. There were several meetings which were brought up where the attorney's firm is conflicting schedules. So we're going to look at whether or not we need to move those dates. We'll discuss that and whether or not it's necessary to have the attorney at every meeting, or if we can proceed with the schedule, we have to do that. And I also spoke with the BA about the upcoming budget timeline, which is obviously a priority for the board. The committee assignments are on the agenda. I did want to take a minute to talk about that. One of the things that was brought up during my conversation with CSA WACA was the importance of the committees. And one good thing about the communication that we did have was last year it felt like certain committees did not meet and did not perform where there was a lack of communication either from the committee chairperson when asking for things, or if they were reached out to by the chief school administrator, there was also a lack of communication back. So I'm asking that the people who are board committee chairs this time understand the importance of that role. I'm going to ask that going forward that all of the committee chairmen reach out to Mr. WACA as soon as possible and establish a meeting date at least, you know, within the next 2 months for your committee. As far as certain committees will meet monthly. Another issue that was brought up is I think that as the committee chairs, having gone and spoke with other board presidents and watch other meetings, I think it's important that the committee chairs do a brief write-up of an actual report so that they can give back feedback of what actually happened, so that information can be shared with not only the board but the public, so that to whatever capacity they're legally required to know what's actually going on and taking place. I think that some of the issues that we had last year have been rectified had the committees been in proper working order. As with Finance Committee, I'd like to see that continue to meet before every actual meeting like they did last year. I think that's the most appropriate way, unless you guys have any other suggestion. But I think to make sure, and I'd like to see the Personnel Committee meeting prior to any meeting where we have personnel items on the agenda. This way, all the important questions can be actually hashed out in an appropriate fashion, and then the board will have the information that they need to make the appropriate decisions. Again, just from my experience, we're moving forward, but with a lack of information makes it harder to vote on things. So I think that that'll clear that up going forward. Secondly, we do have I'm a new board president. Ms. Cerna is a new vice president, and we have several new board members, both appointed and elected. So I thought it was important. I reached out to the New Jersey State School Boards Association, our state field rep. She will be coming in tonight at some point. She was gracious enough to fit us in to get the ethics training in that we're required to have. She is at another board meeting in Hawthorne, so we're going to have to table that probably because she probably won't be here until the end of the meeting. She was gracious enough to fit that in, as well as scheduling a date for her next available time to do the training for the chief school administrator evaluation. Because again, this will be the first time for some people doing it. And I think it's important that we have all the proper training and make sure that everybody knows what's expected so that we can do that. And I know that affects the CUSAC scores. One last thing we discussed with both Mrs. Augustin and Mr. WACA was I like something that Manchester has on theirs, on their website rather. I would like to add the link on the website that Manchester has that allows for parents and people in the school to report students who do not live in the district. I think that that's important, as fiscally we have a lot of money tied up in children who we all hear complaints that there's kids that come here that don't live in town, and we'd like to make sure that we have the best that we can, so we could have kids that belong here and make sure they're getting the most out of the money that we're spending. Lastly, I would like to ask Mr. Waka that going forward, we have at least once every 6 months, the special education, the shared services coordinator, as well as the head of facilities come in and just brief the board on what they're doing and what accomplishments, what we don't have, what we do have, because we do get complaints from time to time. And the last thing, I'm sorry, this is the longest, hopefully this will be the longest report I ever have to do. When people have complaints, the proper thing would be to address them in public at a board meeting, or the complaints go to the chief school administrator and through the complaint process. It's not to email individual board members. So if we could please, make sure that we're doing that. If you do have an issue as a parent, a staff member, as a union, come up, it will be addressed, and we'll do the best that we can. So that's all I have. Mr. Waka?
Your timing is impeccable.
Couldn't
Kelly.
get better. Great.
You did a great job with that. That was very impressive.
Thank you.
I came from Hawthorne. I was like, we got through it and then. there we go. Okay.
Yeah, worked out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Waka for the chief school administrator report.
I think it's funny. You could tell that you're from Passaic County and she's not, just by the way you pronounce Hawthorne versus Hawthorne.
How do you say?
It's
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
It's H-A-W.
It's
Hawthorne.
if you're here long enough, you pick up. But I want to address some of the points you brought up in your speech. And first, I want to say to Ms. Gatling, welcome aboard. I always say this to board members. It's philanthropy and it's volunteer work that you're doing, but there's a lot of gravity towards it because you're making decisions that are going to impact people's children. So I think it's a really pronounced level of philanthropy and volunteerism, and I think you should be really proud of yourself. And we're happy to have you on this board. I want to echo what Mike said about the committee chairs. So as far as committees go, I serve at the committee chairs pleasure. I think a really logical structure is if you're a committee chair, you can say, Mr. Waka, I want to meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. And you can do it in person or on Zoom, or we can meet every Wednesday at 5 p.m. or whatever is kind of you when you talk to your fellow committee members, you tell me when's one or two different times that are really good for you, and I'm going to look to make it work. And I think that's probably the best way to go forward. And the committee meetings sometimes are going to be really, really quick, especially if it's part of an agenda that isn't really populated with a whole lot of agenda items. But I think that's the best way to kind of go forward with some kind of structure in that regard. Excuse me. So I know we have Kelly here from the New Jersey School Board Association. She's going to give an ethics presentation once I'm done yapping, so I'll make it a little quick. I also want to say that, as Mike said, we had the board president come. He met with me, and then he kind of toured with the HEA because they'd offered that service. I know Ellen was one of the first people to take him up on that. And I know George is looking to schedule time as well to do that. And Ms. Garcia also came in earlier last week to meet with me, and I thought that was a very productive conversation. So I would encourage, even if you've been on the board for a while, it's still a good thing to kind of just touch base. So please reach out to us. I had what we believe is going to be our second to last HVAC project update meeting. We're still on pace, on budget, which is really good. And the only thing that was giving us trouble is like HVAC, they got to go into the roof, right? And if there's snow in the roof, it makes things a little more tricky. So things have been pushed back a little bit, but we've been able to kind of just adjust hours so we have more people working on Saturdays when the building's empty, or after what they call second shift is when the kids, for the most part, the kids aren't in the building, so we got a lot of work done there, so we're proud of that. I know that this week, it looks like there's going to be a lot of snow. I want to thank our custodians. We had snow last weekend, and the very next day, the building was workable and the parking spots were all clear, and that may happen this weekend as well, so we'll see what's going on with that. Really important. So on February 1st, our preschool 4-year-old window opens. And we've gotten to the point, because of that expansion project that Mike was alluding to, if you register on time, and we put this on Facebook, we put this on our website, we put this on the Hailton Happenings, we contract with the local newspaper. If you're 4-year-old and you register on time, there's going to be a spot for you. There's only 10 spots total for general ed 3-year-olds. So no matter how you slice it, it's gonna be a lottery. I defer to board presidents if they want, what we've done, we have like that, the thing the old school thing you see at bingo halls, where you put everyone's name is, we shake it up a couple times, and we've had the board president pick names out. We videotaped it, we put it on YouTube. I think that's probably the best way to go about the age 3. But if you register within that window and you're 4 years old, there's gonna be a spot for you. The problem arises is when it's like August 25th and you come to us and you say, hey, I have a 4-year-old that wants to go to preschool. Like, yes, of course, we want to try and accommodate you. But at that point, a lot of time the spots are taken. So, we just want to encourage the community just to get in that window, and we're going to make sure we make it work. To the point about the residency link. So I actually just spoke to Andy about that. I think it was yesterday or today we'd spoken about that.
Yes.
The Manchester link it's legal, it's allowable. We're going to do it a little differently than the Manchester, only because there's a couple like spelling and grammar things that I want to kind of just clean up. But what's today's date? The 20th? If you get me to February 1st, I imagine we'll have something on there for your review. And if you like it, then this board can go forward with that. And then the special ed and the facilities, what was this point you made about this? Oh, you asked about having the special ed.
Just having them come in like.
If you want to do it biannually, where every
Yeah.
6 months, I think it's a very fair ask. That's something, well, I don't see that being a problem at all. And I will say one thing, as far as complaints are going, I think, I know that, number one, we have a population of teachers that are stalwart. They're really, really that good. We're blessed to have them. And we have 3 assistant principals that are all great in their own way. And this has been the year where, of course, there's always parents are going to have concerns. Like that's something we know is always going to happen. The amount of complaints we have, knock on whatever kind of service this is, they've been very fixable complaints and reasonable, and it's just been a really smooth school year, all things considered. So I'm just really proud of the staff and the administrative team for just making it so that we're at that point, at this part of the year. And that's my report tonight.
Miss Augustin?
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. good.
For the February 1st, you said the lottery opened for 4-year-olds. And
3-year-old
all-
too, yeah.
4 and 3.
Yeah, very good, I'm sorry.
Okay, so then the 4-year-olds all get accepted, or is there like a limit?
Like if we have a year where there just happens to be like 154-year-olds in Haledon, then obviously that would change things. We've never had a problem where if within that window, if you registered, there was enough of a cushion for us to say that if you registered as a 4-year-old during that month-long window, it seems incredibly safe that we're going to find a spot for you.
No, but I'm asking you how many spots. Like you said, 10. The 3-year-old.
They have 10 total spots.
So how many do we have for?
I believe it's 75.
Okay, so 70.
Somewhere, if you write down 75 to 80, I would believe that'd be accurate.
Okay, and so the 10 spots for the 3-year-olds, is that including like teachers, children as well? Or
Yes,
is that like 10
so the board
just for
policies,
each
the
PS?
board, what the board voted on unanimously was that the state allowed as a negotiating perk and also a service perk to teachers. If teachers want to bring their students to a district, the district can offer free services to those students. This board voted 6-0 to allow that. So they'll be in the pool like anyone else, but like I have teachers, I don't have the teachers, the board has teachers where they wanted to get their children into school last year, it just didn't work out lottery wise, and other teachers kind of got the lucky thing that was plucked out, and they got to bring their kids.
So they have to enter the lottery. as
Yeah,
well?
just like anyone else, yeah.
Okay, so what the thing with that is that we get a lot of complaints
Mhm.
about the out of district children that come here, and then we only have 10 spots for 3-year-olds,
Mhm.
and obviously that's not enough even with the teachers,
Yeah, I
but
agree
with
with
the
that.
teachers' children that are out of district, that's gonna cause a lot of conflict with
Mhm.
the residents here. So is there any way that we can up the 10 limit spot?
Well,
Is there
so
any way like?
okay, it's a good question. So the state, we don't pay for our preschool. The state pays for our preschool,
Mhm.
right? And so it's such a fiscal boon to go through them. Their rule is 15 students per class limit. So like if we wanted to do our own preschool and we wanted to fund it ourselves, yeah, we could have more than 15 students per class. But now we wouldn't be able to afford it because it's such a big program and we go exclusively state. Their cap is a hard cap, 15 students per class. So if we were to expand the amount of 3-year-olds, it would just be at the expense of the amount of 4-year-olds that we offer. So I would say that I've been here for 10 years now. The first 7.5, I would say, or 8 years, we didn't offer preschool to 3-year-olds unless you had special needs. Like if you had an IEP that required that you have early intervention start preschool, the state kind of changed their formula and they said, all right, we want you to now start with at least 5 general ed preschool students. We did that for a year or two. They moved the barometer up to now 10. So that's where we're at. But it's not fiscally, if we did add the number, if we added to our overall preschool, it would just be at the expense of the number of 4-year-olds we could have.
Okay, so, like when I decided to call North Haledon, they were going to charge me $16,000 to put my kids in that school. This was a while ago, but I find it very odd that the teachers are allowed to bring their children here and have no tuition.
Mhm.
So can you please send me that policy or that write-up or that
I
agreement?
forwarded it to our attorney, so. to
Yeah,
answer.
you're, by law, you can only do this so many ways. It's gotta be, I believe it's gotta be free for your staff, or you don't let them in at all. I will check, I will get back to
Yeah.
Monique on that, but the
But
policy is, I believe, still on your website, so we can find it.
yeah, this board voted 6-0 in favor of that.
Because I was also told that that was because of COVID and the teachers.
Well, that's when
Here or
that's when
whatever.
Governor Murphy allowed this to be, something that was doable. But we revisited it in 2025 and this, many people that are still on this dais, voted yes to that.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, is the preschool still part-time or is it full-time?
Oh, we're proud to offer full day pre-K. Some people will do half day collectively, but most people want full day.
Oh, really?
Mr. Walker,
Yeah,
what's the average cost per pupil for the preschool program?
It's free.
it's the town, you mean for the
I
parents?
mean, if they did incur like any additional students, what's the average?
Okay, so to put it in perspective, and again, I'm just estimating, but I think our cost per pupil, let me correct me if I'm wrong, is something like 12,000 a student or something like
It
that.
depends on whether it's a public or non-public student. I can look it up and then I'll give it to you.
Oh, lovely,
in
okay.
the meeting, okay? All right.
But yeah, it would, if we had to fund it ourselves, it would change the whole paradigm of our school.
I forwarded it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Did anybody else have any questions before I ask mine? That's good. You said 15 and it's 10. Is the other 5 is that like banked for special needs? Or?
Well, special needs, it's the way the law is written, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but if a child in early intervention is identified as needing preschool 3 years old, if we don't have a spot for that child, then we're gonna have to incur the cost of sending them somewhere.
Okay.
So we leave just a safety net of a
That makes
certain
sense.
amount.
That's not a question. All right, thank you. No other questions, then we're gonna move on to Mrs. Augustin and the BA report.
Okay. Okay, so my report today is to first let the board know that you should have received the email regarding your personal disclosure forms. For the returning board members, your form is due April 30th. And for the new board members, you have up until February 1st. And I have to check on Mrs. Gatlin because since she was sworn in today, I believe she may have 30 days, but please get those as soon as possible. This is part of also your responsibility as a board member to submit those disclosure forms. And if you have problems signing in or you don't know where your PIN is, which it was in your email, let us know, okay? If you have any questions on that or what to put on the form, we can kind of walk you through those questions because sometimes they're different, but they seem a little redundant, but it's like one word answer, one word that changes the question. So just let me know. The other thing is that this past week or two, like the president said, I've been working with a few vendors to discuss some budget items as far as getting us already for the finance team to discuss some things that we will be putting in the budget next year. So I just wanted to just update the board, and we are working towards that in the finance team. Within the next few weeks, we're gonna kind of dive deep into making sure we understand everything in the budget before it's time or submitted for the board for review. As far as the agenda items today, we have several projects on the agenda for approval. We have our fire alarm project, our HVAC project. Both of those projects are on their way. Mr. Walker and Mr. Mann's been going to most of the meetings regarding the updates on those projects. We also have on the agenda tonight a M&P facility assessment report. So I was speaking with Mr. Mann, and we were discussing doing a complete top-down analysis of the building. We have our engineer coming in, and he's walking the site just to make sure that we are covering all the HVAC areas of the building. And this is in preparations, of course, health and safety first, but we also want to prepare for the budget that's coming up, and submit any projects or for considerations for a new budget that's coming up. The second, any questions on that? I'm not sure if anybody had any questions on the assessment report, because this is something new that's with a different approach on how to maintain the building this year that Mr. Mann had brought to the table that we're gonna try to facilitate. The second thing is our financial reports, our monthly financial reports, which is our treasurer's report, transfer report, and our board secretary's report. This is done every 60 days. We have to reconcile and report these items to the board and also to the county. The other new item is our postage agreement. We are at the end of our renewal of our postage meter, so we're going with a different company this year and saving a little bit money on this with this vendor. And we have our Mastio statement, which is our monthly invoice that we have to pay for the food services program that we have here in our facilities. And the last that came in as an addendum was our carryover funds, which was completed, I believe, like Friday or Monday. So we're submitting them and also accepting them. And we submitted to the state. It hasn't been approved, but the state does allow us to start utilizing those funds. And I just want to note that specifically with Title I, that we're able to cover the 4 salaries initially in the beginning of the year that we could not. So that was a good thing with the title funds. We were actually, I believe, we transferred money from another title into Title I in order to cover those funds, cover those salaries. So any questions? All right, thank you.
No questions from Mrs. Augustin. That is the last committee report we have. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Brown, do you have anything on the committee report?
I'm still waiting for a letter from the union's attorney about that petition, but he's assured me that it's coming.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the committee reports?
I don't think we need a
Okay,
motion.
never mind, disregard. Motion to move forward for the ethics training presentation 5.1.
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Fisher, second, Ms. Johnson. Roll call, please.
Okay.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for being here, Mrs. Mitchell. Give it
Oh,
to you.
my pleasure. Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Sorry to make you do 2 of these in one night.
Yeah, like I'm just the ethics champion today.
It's easier.
How you doing in that chair, good?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you all have that acknowledgement of receipt. If we could just sign that and hand that over, that will give us, that'll give us the evidence that you have a step. Thank you so much. Also in there, I put the 12-month calendar of your board responsibilities. That really helps you stay on track and know what you're supposed to be doing each month as a board member. So it'll talk about trainings, it'll talk about the CSA evaluation, schools. things like that. Started with the ethics presentation. This is a disclaimer, this is for informational purposes only, it's not to give you any type of legal advice. Of course, if you need any legal advice, you would go through the board president per your policy. Tonight, we're going to talk a lot about the Ethics Act itself and about the respect and confidence of the public, and then making sure that your conduct as a board member doesn't violate that confidence and trust. And then also about the justifiable impression that you give in some of your conduct. So a lot of that comes into play when we talk about social media. So that's a big component of our ethics complaints that we've had lately. And so I have a couple of slides on that. We'll talk about that. So this is the actual commission itself. It's 9 members, 5 non-school officials, 2 administrators, school administrators, and 2 school board members. You can see at the bottom there, it says that both seats are vacant for the school board members. So if you have a little bit more volunteerism time, you might want to go and be on the ethics commission. I think that would be a lot of fun, don't you? So the provision of the act is all about accountability. You have to have your mandatory training completed, and we'll talk about that shortly. We'll go through the code of ethics today. The disclosure statements, you stole my thunder on that one, but that's okay. And then we'll talk about the prohibited acts. So your mandatory training, if you're a brand new board member, you have to have that done in the first 90 days. I know that that was difficult online, but that is a whole other story. And then when you're in your second year, you have to have it done at the end of December. For all those consecutive years. So in the second year, we have the finance student achievement piece. That's a newer component that we have. So that's been updated. Governance 3 has a new labor relations piece to it. So that would be in year 3. And then governance 4, if you're a returning board member, reappointed or reelected. So those disclosure statements, just know that that is a big, huge deal. You have to have that done in time. So if you're a brand new board member, it has to be 30 days from the time you're sworn in. And then everybody else would be April 30th. Just as a little tip, when you fill that in, a lot of times board members fill it all in and then they think they can just quick email it over. You need to save it as a PDF so that you save all your data. Otherwise, you'll fill that all out and then you'll all of a sudden notice that that data is gone. So just save it as a PDF and then email it out, and it'll really save you a lot of heartache, because I've done it a million times where I didn't save that and all that data is gone. So make sure that you fill that out completely, because there has been some violations lately on the disclosure statement. I'll go over that shortly. You can see here where there was a board member that didn't fill it out completely, didn't disclose that her spouse had some type of business organization that did business with the school. If you don't fill that out, it asks you different questions each time, and it seems like it's the exact same question over and over again, but there's like little nuances to it. So it's, does your relative work in the district? Does your relative have any business that the district does with the schools? Like all those little nuances, please read it through completely before you fill it out. But there was a reprimand that was given to this board member because it wasn't filled out completely. So just be mindful of that. I answer my cell phone 7 days a week. So when you're doing it, if you really need any help going through it or confused on what a relative is, please call me on my cell phone. I answer it 7 days a week. So now we're going to go through the code of ethics and talk about what each tenant looks like. But I just want you to look at that standards portion at the bottom. That's what the Ethics Commission looks at when a complaint comes in to see if it was a violation of that tenant. So you might want to be mindful of those standards as we go along. But letter A speaks to exactly what happened when you were sworn in. You swore to uphold the rules and regulations and laws of the state of New Jersey. So sometimes we saw a violation of letter A if there was like a mandatory policy that the board didn't abide by, things like that, we would maybe see a violation of letter A. Letter B speaks to making decisions for all students. It's super important that when you're sitting in the seat, that you're mindful of all students as a whole. You're not thinking about just special groups or students that mean something to you individually. You need to be making decisions based on all students. Letter C, I love letter C because it speaks directly to your role as a board member. Your board member service is policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and that's it. Sometimes board members think their role is much more than that, and really that speaks to it exactly. So policymaking, you're a policymaking board, you go over those policies and make sure that they're up to date. Planning would be the budgeting piece that you're doing right now. Sometimes curriculum and being involved in that, some of that planning. And then appraisal, the CSA evaluation, that by statute needs to be done by July 1. And I'll be doing a presentation on that maybe next month or so. Letter D speaks to making sure that you're not administering the school. So as a board member, you're not rolling up your sleeves and getting involved in the day-to-day activities. You just have that role of oversight. So imagine yourself sitting in a balcony, looking down, and you're seeing all the dancers on the floor, but you're not telling the dancers exactly how to move. That's that oversight piece. So make sure that you understand that the board is the what and the administration is the how. Letter E, we see a lot of violations with letter E when board members really have a hard time going from campaign mode to board service. So you're making all those promises when you're in campaign mode and you're saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that for you. But then when you come on the board, it's quite different. You realize that you're one of 9 and that you're a team. So you can't be making promises or taking any private actions for any groups. Letter F is that same type of flavor where we see a lot of times violations based on a political group maybe supporting you when you were campaigning, but now in your board service, you all know that it's nonpartisan. So make sure that you're not doing any type of special favors or acts for a political group that has supported you. Letter G is talking about confidentiality. That's super important when you're an executive, but also sometimes when you're in committee. So sometimes when you're having conversations in committee, they tend to be maybe confidential pieces to those conversations. So just know the differentiation between when you're in committee, if you're talking about something that's not ready for the public yet, it's important to keep those items confidential as well. So not only in executive. A lot of times when you're an executive, board members feel like, well, I can just tell my spouse or my partner, and that cannot be. When you're in executive, everything stays in that room. But also that committee piece, it's very important to be mindful of that. Letter H talks about appointing the best qualified personnel. So that's all for the administration. Sometimes board members get a little overzealous and say, well, I think Sally Sue would be great for that job. That's not our role as board members. That's recommended by the superintendent, and you can vote yes or no on that. But that's not something for you to be involved in. That's more of that rolling up the sleeves type of conversation. Letter I, sometimes we see board members make comments to members of the public or maybe on social media if a public community member talks about a staff member and how they're disappointed in something. Make sure that you support our staff. They work very, very hard and they need you to be on your side, on their side and uplift them. So make sure that, if you're in the grocery store or what have you, that you're not speaking poorly of our staff. We have had some violations of letter I, and we did have a board member taken off their board for 60 days by a post that they thought was a good idea. They blogged about a staff member. And they had all the proper disclosure on that blog, but spoke poorly about a staff member. So they were taken off for 60 days. Letter J. Letter J talks about chain of command. It's super important as a board member to understand chain of command because, like I said, if you're in that grocery store, and it always happens in the grocery store where somebody comes up to you and says, you know, I'm really disgruntled about X, Y, and Z that's going on in the district. You want to be a barometer for the community member, but you listen, you take that in, you ask them to follow that chain of command. So you regroup them to that lowest level of chain of command. And if you don't know what that would be, you need to ask the superintendent what that would be. But that's where it should go. You should not be handling any type of complaints on your own. Once you do hear that complaint, you can go ahead and give that to the superintendent and let the board president know. And then also, if you don't want to go grocery shopping, it's okay as a board member. So ethics complaints, you have 180 days. Any community member has 180 days to put in for an ethics, possible ethics violation. We have seen fines recently for frivolous filing because it's very popular lately that board members think it's a good idea to put in violations and complaints against other board members. Please, if you have a problem with a board member, work it out amongst you all. Don't put it into the Ethics Commission. We're seeing a lot of that lately, and it's just really taking up a lot of unnecessary time. So there are some fines that are being imposed lately for that type of thing. These are what would happen if you're found in violation. A reprimand is basically a letter saying that you were found in violation. It's a slap on the wrist and says, you know, don't do that again. Then it goes to censure. That's a little bit stronger. That's read at a public meeting, and that stays on the website for 30 days. A suspension, like I said, that person that thought it was a good idea to do the blog was a 60-day suspension of the service. And then removal, we haven't seen a lot of them lately, but we're starting to see them more because board members are not doing their mandatory training on time, or they haven't filled out their disclosure. So if you don't fill out your disclosure by that April 30th and submit that, you can be taken off the board. Also with your mandatory training, if you don't get that done within a certain time frame, they will remove you from the board. So just know that that's something that you absolutely have to do. Advice of counsel. We're seeing a lot of board members say, well, you know, we talked to the board attorney and the board attorney said that I could do this type of conduct. Well, you can use the defense of advice of counsel, but you have to make sure that all 4 of those components are comprised in that defense. If you don't tell the full story to your board attorney and your board attorney goes on just the story that you tell them, sometimes, you know, you haven't disclosed completely what type of conduct you were going to do. You also have to make sure that you spoke to the attorney before any type of conduct. It can't be after the fact. So just be mindful of that because this is something that a lot of board members are saying and they're not able to use that because all 4 components aren't part of it. These are some of the cases, and we don't need to read through all of them, but I just wanted to point out this one where a board member used their board email to talk to the CPAD members, but they were just a CPAD member. It wasn't like they were part of like a board service thing. So make sure that you only use your board email for board business, because it gives that justifiable impression to the public that you're speaking for the full board and you don't have that authority to do so. So make sure that the board email is only for the board business. You don't use that to speak to community members or speak to, sometimes we see a lot of board members speak to town council. That makes that feeling, that impression that you're speaking for the full board. Numbers C7823, I talk about this a lot, and because a lot of times board members say, well, you know, I've been on the board for a really long time, Kelly, why do I have to hear about ethics? And this one speaks directly to that. So this was a 15+ year board member that thought it was a good idea to drive to a staff member's house, pick up a letter, hand it to the BA, tell the BA, don't give it to this, don't say anything to the superintendent, don't give it to the superintendent. And when they spoke about it at the board meeting, didn't recuse herself. So she was removed for 60 days. So sometimes even seasoned board members go off the rails, and that's why we need to talk about ethics every single year. This is a newer guidance that came out about 2 years ago, and there seems to be a little confusion sometimes with board members. So recusal versus abstention. So when you abstain from a vote, it's because you don't have the proper information or data that you need to feel that you can cast your vote appropriately. That would be abstaining. Recusal is when you have a legal conflict. So if you have a legal conflict in any way for that vote, you need to recuse yourself from the vote and the discussion. Because when you think about it, if you discuss, if you're part of the discussion and then just say, I'm going to recuse myself from the vote, you might have skewed the other voters by your discussion. So make sure that you don't use any type of discussion and you recuse yourself from the vote if you have a legal conflict. In your packet, I did put a chart of what's rendered as a relationship. That's a really helpful chart. It comes directly from the Ethics Commission, and that'll be helpful. Sometimes people are like, well, my cousin, sister, brother is working for the school district. Am I conflicted? So that'll give you that whole chart. Advisory opinions, we've had probably about 45 this year. They get taken to you by school board notes. They're in that, that email that you get quite often. Please look through that. You can ask for an advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission, but they ask that you please look at all the other advisories just to make sure that it's not repeating itself. And that cute little police officer is there because a lot of times board members say, well, it's just an opinion. And we say, well, it's kind of akin to if a police officer said, you'll get arrested if you do this. You wouldn't, like not trust their guidance. So please make sure that you trust the guidance of the Ethics Commission and know that those advisories are there to protect you. So in your email, this is, you could click on these links and look at all those advisories. I put them in that chart for you. And then when we talk about benefits, sometimes you have to be mindful that a benefit can be direct or indirect. So make sure that you understand that, that type of nuance. Sometimes a business affiliation in some way can give you like an indirect benefit for your family. So just be mindful of that. These are some of the prohibited acts to recuse yourself if you have a conflict in any type of financial gain, favor, any type of business interest. You would recuse yourself from any of those discussions and votes. And these are some of the cases that I put into your packet itself. There was one board member that was promoting a nonprofit and did get a reprimand because they felt that that was a benefit to that nonprofit that he was affiliated with. So just understand the benefit to you from even from a nonprofit. They're very cautious about that. And then, of course, hiring personnel, we know that if you're a board member, we can't hire any of our relatives, and then also the CSA as well. We can't hire any of their relatives. And then the impact of a committee, if you had a board president who had somebody that worked in the district, then you couldn't pick committee chairs and you couldn't serve on committees that had to do any type of touching of that that job itself. So any type of negotiations, finance, even sometimes with curriculum, they say that a conflicted board president shouldn't be on that. So you would hand that over to the vice president. And then collective bargaining, I put in here exactly like whether you could participate in negotiations with the relative status, or you can vote to ratify the contract. I have that in there so that I don't know if this is a year for that, but you can have that as part of if it was that year. And also with if you were supported by the union, and we don't see this quite often, but if you were, you couldn't be on negotiations for an entire year if you were just campaigning and they supported your campaign. We get a lot of questions on volunteering in schools, and yes, you can volunteer in schools. It's just if that authority that you would have in that volunteerism, meaning that if you were going to give a directive to a staff member, then you would shy away from that type of volunteerism. So if you were going to do something where you had to tell a staff member what to do, then as a board member, you would not do that type of volunteerism. But otherwise, you can read to a class, you can go on a field trip or what have you, but just be mindful of that. And then also, if you are going to do any type of volunteerism, make sure you tell the board president and the superintendent so they understand the degree of that volunteerism. Visiting the schools, sometimes we all get like a little key fob as board members. Some board members really take advantage of that. You should not be a staple in the schools. You don't have the right to just come through the schools all the time. And just know that sometimes staff members feel uncomfortable when board members are in the building, and just understand that feeling and that concern, and not be a staple in the school. If you are going to visit the schools, please let the superintendent know. Social media is the biggest proponent of our complaints itself. Certainly you have your First Amendment rights, but if you are going to be on social media, the Ethics Commission said that you should parrot exactly that disclaimer, saying that it's your personal opinion. Remember, we talked about in the Ethics Act that justifiable opinion from the public, that you're speaking for the board. So even that content piece, so let's say you're on there, you have all the proper disclosure, but you're speaking like you're a board member, or you're speaking about board business on social media, the public can say that you're speaking for the full board. So you need to shy away from, doing any type of posting like that. You can certainly say, snow day or whatever, that's fine. But anything that is spoken about at the table, if you're on social media, you could be a possible violation there. So we say to make sure you put that disclaimer and make sure you're mindful of your content. These are some of the social media cases where they had the disclosure, but they still spoke as a board member on that social media. So there was some reprimands handed out there. Also, if you have a campaign page that identifies you as a board member, you shouldn't be posting from that anymore. You should shut down that page until next time when you want to campaign, because that identifies you as a board member, and then that could put you in a possible violation. They also say that if you administer a social media page, you can be shutting down comments. So sometimes they say that that could possibly have some type of violation because you're stifling the public to speak. So just know that you might want to watch that with the administrator. And then also, you're first and foremost an advocate for your own child. But when you come in to speak about your child in any type of meeting with the staff, you need to take off your board hat. You cannot be sitting there and say, well, I'm a board member. You're there as a parent. And in your packet, I put those links there so that you can look at the advisory and the decisions made. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I just have a question about the recusal and the abstentions. You said abstention is no information, and then the recusal is
that you
it's
feel
a
like you
clear
don't have
conflict.
enough information to make an intelligent vote.
Okay, so like we have on the professional development portion of the agenda, we have a few of us that are on there, so we would be recusing ourselves.
If you were on,
We're on the agenda,
oh, you're on the agenda, yeah.
so we would recuse,
Yeah,
not
because it's a
abstain.
conflict.
Okay.
And the discussion. Okay, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Kelly.
Sorry to have you do it twice in one day, but
Oh,
we
no,
appreciate it.
no, it's my pleasure. It was only 10 minutes from each other. That was great.
Kelly, I have one question. So for the discussion, would they leave the room or they could still be here?
No, that's a great question, because I had that a lot. The rendering is that you really wouldn't need to leave the table or the room, that you would just recuse yourself and not discuss anything. Yeah,
Thank you.
but that's a great question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
My pleasure.
Moving on, do we have a Next is number 6, hearing of citizens on agenda items only. To have a motion to open the floor to the hearing of the citizens.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Second, anybody? Mr. Williams? Roll call, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the floor is now open to the public for agenda items only. Do we have anybody on? Please. Seeing no hands here, seeing no one online, can I have a motion to close the,
So moved.
thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Second.
Second, Mr. Johnson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the floor is now closed. Correspondence, we do not have any, so moving on to, we have a motion for the approval of prior minutes. Motion for 8.1 prior minutes, Mrs. Johnson. Second, Ms. Serna. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Gatlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Serna, Personnel and Management, to have a motion to move the agenda items 9.1 to 9.4. Motion, Mrs. Serna. Second by Mrs. Johnson. Roll call, please. Before we move on, do we have any questions on any of the agenda items under Personnel Management? That would be 9.1 through 9.4. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing no questions, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Serna?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Gatlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to Curriculum and Technology, do we have any questions before we move for a motion on any of the items 10.1 through 10.8? No questions. Do I have a motion to move agenda items 10.1 through 10.8?
Motion.
Motion, Mrs. Johnson, second, Ms. Serna. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna?
Recuse from 10.2, yes to everything else.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes on all except 10.6. I abstain.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes. 10.3, I recuse.
Ms. Gatlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Recuse 10.7, yes to everything else.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Recuse myself on 10.8 and yes to everything else.
Thank you.
We have nothing for policy, nothing for Safety and Security Committee, and nothing for community engagement and outreach at this time. Do we have any questions on any of the items under 14.1 through 14.18 for finance and the physical plan? Anyone have any questions? Seeing no questions, can I have a motion to move agenda items 14.1 through 14.18? Motion, Ms. Serna. Second, Mrs. Johnson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
I recommend, recusal of 14.16. PO 600-821. Did you get that?
14.16.
14.16 PO 600-821. Okay, Ms. Gatlin?
Abstained.
Ms. Johnson?
Yeah.
Mr. Williams
Yes.
and Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have anything under new or old business? Does anyone have any new or, yes, Ms. Fisher?
Yes, just a few housekeeping. Being that I'm on policy now, I would, I have been looking through the policy and bylaws manual. Many of them are outdated, a lot of them from 2008, 2010. So I feel that the policy committee needs to take that under advisement and go through the whole manual. One of them that New Jersey School Boards has a little bit of an issue with is HIB. And they always want it updated, and our policy hasn't really been updated since 2019. So that's an update of every year. We are a part of the Strauss Esme. We are paying for it. They look at all of our policies and give us tell us what we have to change. Mr. Waka, it should come from him. That has to go to the committee, but I think that the policy manual is in dire need of being updated. Also with committees, as in the past, as everyone knows, being a seasoned board member, whenever we did committees, we also would have an alternate on any of our committees. So if someone couldn't make it, or if there was a conflict, we would always have an alternate, so we would always have committees. I think it's very important to have committees meet at least once a month to help the school run well, and to help Mr. Waka. I think we all need to be on board for that. So that's about it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anything new or old business?
I have the tuition information that Mr. Williams was asking
Oh,
for
yeah.
earlier. Okay, so the preschool tuition, which was, all of these tuition rates were approved on at the June 9th board meeting. So the preschool tuition for non-residents is $17,471. For grades 1 through 5 is $17,008. For grades 6 through 8 is $19,228, and that's regular education. For LLD, if there's any students that come in for LLD, it would be $53,772. For any autism would be $90,665, and MD multiple disabilities will be $21,579. So that's what was approved on the board agenda on June 19th. Okay. You're welcome.
Anyone else new or old business?
Excuse me, I have one other thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that we have a lot of new board members, and if anyone has to take the Governance 1 class and they want to do it online.
Are you gonna be teaching it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it is, if you have any problems with it at all, I would honestly tell you to contact NJSBA right away, because it's a new system that they have done and a lot of things aren't working. So you got a 90-day clock is ticking that you have to get this done, and you're having a problem with Governance 1 with the site. I would really tell you, because that's what Kelly was making, she was alluding that to me, because I have been on the phone with them, telling them there are a lot of things that are broken, a lot of things have to be changed. And so if anybody has a problem with it, I would tell you, really call NJSBA right away.
Or call Miss
Yeah,
BA.
we've been working on it behind the
And they
scenes.
can start.
Yeah.
It's,
working on
a
it.
lot of the components to it are not working properly.
I think mostly everyone's going into the, you're
On this
going
weekend,
on
that's
site,
right.
right?
Oh,
You're on
are
site,
you?
yeah, you're on
That's
site
great.
too.
If you-
February,
Hopefully it
yes.
doesn't snow.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yep.
It probably will.
And I'm not quite sure how that works either, if you can't make it, if you can do, because you're only allowed 2 board members per district to go to this training.
Yeah, we
In
worked it
person?
out. Those 2 are going, and then Miss Gatlin's going in February.
Right.
So, yep.
And then there's a 1-day also February 7th in Trenton from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, if anybody wants to do a 1-day
So they changed the rule, and now you gotta do it within 90 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
of election.
It used to be easier just to do it at school board too.
Hmm?
It used to be easier, just wait to the workshop. sometimes
Yeah.
just do it there.
Yeah, they've changed a lot of things now, so, yeah.
Just for planning, you said for new business, Governor Murphy on his way out implemented cursive writing. to
Yes,
be-
isn't that
Yay.
great? Isn't that great?
So that'll be coming back.
Now, if we write checks again, we'll have that, we'll be able to sign it.
I am happy about that.
We have to submit this as well to Lamika.
Yes, I
Right.
already have
The front
the
page.
majority of
cover page.
everyone's already. Yeah.
Send this to me for bro.
You want me to tell you? Just want to pass them all around.
You want it?
Seeing
Yeah,
no
mine.
other new business or old business? No, almost. Can I have a motion for hearing of citizens on operation of schools, 16.1? We're almost out of here, guys. Motion, Mrs. Johnson, second, Mrs. Garcia. All in favor? Aye. The floor is now open to the public on operations of schools. Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Amanda Puchalowski, President of the Hilton Education Association. On behalf of the teaching staff, I would like to thank Mr. Coletta for visiting our school on Friday, taking the time off to do so. Together, we spent some time in the classrooms across the building from pre-K to the middle school, and we engaged in some meaningful conversations about the important work that happens here each day. Any chance I get to show off my colleagues and students is truly an honor and easily the best part of serving as the union president. I would also like to highlight the amazing work of Mrs. Carly Saul and Ms. Stacy Canova, who Mrs. Saul teaches first grade and Mrs. Canova is our BSI coordinator and teacher. It was highlighted earlier this month on northjersey.com and it was printed in all of the local newspapers. Their face is all over the cover of the newspaper dressed up for Grinch Day. So it is something that first grade looks forward to every year. And we are just so lucky to have both of them as part of the staff here at HBS.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? No. No one online? Seeing no one online, seeing no one in the audience, can I have a motion to close the floor? to the public?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Fisher, second, Mrs. Serna, all in favor? Can I have we have no executive session, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Fisher, second, Mrs. Serna, all in favor?
Aye.